Hi there, Chris Colby from GC Property Group, and what I want to talk about today is the HMO market dead? So we are now in June 2020, so in the UK lockdown is just starting to ease a little bit, and I read a lot of articles, I hear a lot of people sort of saying, oh, we don't know whether HMOs are a good thing to do or not in this climate. So I just wanted to give you my opinion on the matter. So for those that you don't know, an HMO is a house of multiple occupancy. So this is where a landlord will get a property and rent it out on a room by room basis and provide everything within there. So for example, it could be a 6 or 7 bedroomed house where each tenant pays for the room, but what they also get is they get all their bills paid for, all the heating, they get access to kitchen that's fully kitted out with stuff they can use. So really, they don't need to buy anything or bring anything. Everything that is there provided for them. So there were many sort of things that happened when COVID-19 started in the UK in March. A lot of people didn't know, particularly landlords, what do they do with the different housemates within the houses because they're all in close proximities. But should they be moving out and not being together because of social distancing? So it really was an unprecedented thing, and no one really knew the answer. I think in a lot of instances where it was working professionals using HMOs, they actually, they left and went back home and sort of ended the tenancy agreement because they didn't need to be there and they wanted to be home with the families. I think in some instances where people were living in an HMO full time, then they obviously did stay because there was nothing else they could do. Apart from, you hearing the odd horror stories of landlords trying to evict all their HMO tenants, the majority of landlords behaved very well. They didn't try and evict anyone. They worked with the tenants to make sure that everyone had, a place to stay and everyone was comfortable. But it's sort of left a lot of questions about, what is the future of the HMO market? So now, obviously, the main part of COVID-19 is sort of starting to die down. We're being let out. I firmly believe there will be another lockdown comes in. It will either come in later in 2020 or early 2021 throughout winter. So we probably are going to be faced with this sort of thing again. So I believe HMOs are still a good thing. They potentially might take a little bit of hit in certain areas. So for example, one area which I think they could take a hit at the moment is student accommodation. So at the moment, no universities they're not tutoring students on campuses. So therefore, all the students are back at home with their parents, or if they live separate, they're staying at home. So student accommodation is kind of not needed. And if I'm honest, and from what I've been hearing, a lot of universities will not open properly in September either. They've sort of transitioned over to using some Microsoft Teams or Zoom, etc., to run online seminars and tutorials and lectures, etc. So I think if you are solely in the student accommodation market, you could have could have a rough year or two until that sort of picks back up again. But it's one of those things you could use the opportunity to add value to the house, or you could turn it into a serviced accommodation unit, maybe just for short-term lets. I don't know. There's various things you can do, but I think that's one area that will particularly suffer. I think professional lets on the whole will still be absolutely fine. So when I say professional let, what I mean is working professionals that have HMOs on short-term lets. The reason I say that is because there are a lot of people that will take up sort of jobs in a specific area for 6 months, so for like a project, etc. So even though we can do a lot of things on sort of Skype and Zoom and that, there are a lot of working professionals that will still need to travel and be in that area to make that work. So you could argue maybe that sort of like if it's someone like a program director or a higher project manager, they might not need to be around so much. But if you're doing a large, say, engineering project and you are, for example, a very good welder, you're still going to need to be in that location for a set amount of time while the project is going ahead. So as I said, there could be some slight drops from certain professionals that now in the new ways working with video call conferencing, etc. That might dip, but on the whole, I think it's pretty good. And as for people that live in HMOs and that is their private residence, I think they're going to stay there. And to be honest with you, I think that side of it could actually grow, because my opinion is we are going to be heading into quite a large recession when we fully understand the impacts of being in lockdown for a long while. And this is going to be a global recession. So you might find people on sort of low income that they might find that actually I'm really struggling to rent this flat or this apartment, whether it be 1 bed and 2 bedroom, say that's costing $550 and there's another £200 to £250 of bills that they have to pay on top of that. That's quite an expense. But what they could do is they could just rent a nice HMO room, fully furnished, fully kitted out for £450 a month. So that actually might seem appealing. So as quite a few people lose their jobs, which I personally believe is absolutely going to happen once the government finishes the furlough scheme, my opinion is a lot of companies are keeping employees on board at the moment because they are being paid for by the furlough scheme. But when the furlough scheme stops, we're going to see a mass layoff of the workforce in a lot of different areas. Just my opinion. Comment below what you think is going to happen. But when that does happen, I believe that there will be quite a lot of people looking to rent HMOs as a cheap alternative, but also there's a lot of landlords doing it well. So there's a lot of very comfortable rooms out there. So a lot of people could, on a short-term 6-month basis, maybe rent those out. So I think, the demand for HMOs is going to be pretty good going forward in that respect. So again, they're just my thoughts on the HMO market, but ultimately, I think just in the short term, it's still a little bit wavy, but the long-term prospects, I think, are pretty good. I think the demand, particularly for working professionals and people to live in, are really going to go up. So if you're looking at doing an HMO, do it well, do it to a really good standard and make it very homely. Basically say to yourself, would I live here? Would I be happy living here? And if you are, then that'll work, because not only you'll get more rent, but also you'll normally get a better quality of tenant who will also, when they get there, they'll be a bit house proud. Anyway, I hope you found this useful. Again, these were my opinions, so I'd really like to know what your thoughts are on it. So please make sure you comment there, and also subscribe to my channel. So I bring out a video every single week. So what I try to do is bring a video out on property investing every single week, but I also talk about success, health, and goals, because I fully believe that you need those to be effective at whatever it is you're trying to do. So for me, property investing, but I've invested quite a lot into my health and well-being in the last couple of months, and I'm feeling noticeable difference in how much energy I have to do videos, look for property deals, etc. So as I said, make sure you subscribe. Anyway, thanks for watching. Speak soon.